Hey, I realized what it is. Hi, everybody. The problem is that the thing that I have from Robert is not an overlay. It's just an image. So this isn't like, so I will be able to fix that for upcoming segments, and I can like put a banner on it right now. Hi, everybody. Sorry about that. I'm Nomos today. I think we're all...
Yeah, you know what? It's all good. It's one of those days. Shit's gonna happen. You know, we're here to chat and have fun. So,
how is your day? She asked.
It's actually been a pretty fun time. I'm not gonna lie. Last night I had a hard time sleeping.
Yeah.
So I actually had a hard time sleeping. So I actually ended up taking some melatonin, and I was knocked out cold real quick. Like, I was sleeping until like 1 o'clock, and I was like, once I realized it was like 1 o'clock, I was like, oh shit, I got it. No, I can't be in bed a moment longer. So I went for a walk, which was nice.
That's the story of my life. Sleeping till 1 a.m., like 1 p.m. Sorry, I go to bed around 6 a.m. now. So like, sleeping through the day is a very effective way, actually, of getting through this whole crisis. Like being nocturnal. It's a really good idea.
It's really kind of flipping up. It's really fucking up my sleep schedule for sure.
I'm so sorry.
I don't. It's like definitely turning me into a night person. However, I don't like being a night person.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's just me though. And so I feel like I'm grumpier all the time. I feel like,
it makes me crazy.
I feel like Harry Potter from like year 5, where he's like, I'm angry all the time.
Hold on, I'm trying to see if we are live right now. Oh, it looks like what happened is we are live on the wrong channel. Hold on. So I'm gonna post this link out and delete this other thing, if you don't mind. Sorry about that. So I don't know how I managed to mess this up so bad when literally it was scheduling a thing. Hi, hey guys. No notification though. Sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry guys. I messed up and I got confused. We all get confused sometimes.
It's like, honestly, with the notifications, so that's been happening for everyone. I know Rocky, the Action Guys. I know with C2A. It's been quite a process. A lot of people are complaining that they're not getting notifications for their favorite channels and everything. So it's not just, us, obviously. Yeah. It's just, there's YouTube.
It would make sense. It would make sense if it was us, though.
Because a lot of traffic.
I just deleted this stream to create a new stream because I messed up and I couldn't figure out the overlay in time. So, guys, hi, hello.
Woo!
Hi, everybody. Woo! I'm going to tweet out this link. Give me a second. The other thing about waking up at like, first of all, I love that you took melatonin and like that's how you slept late. I'm like, I took 2 Xanax and an Ambien and like that's how I got up this morning.
Yeah, it's I personally don't take any kind of medications or anything. And so a little goes a very long way in my case. And it also helps that I'm drinking a margarita that looks like urine.
Oh, oof.
So it straight up looks like urine, but I promise it is a margarita with the ice is kind of melted.
Oh, so. Christopher Woodburn just brought up a good point, which is tomorrow's Schmoedawn. Are you excited for what's going to happen? Have you figured out your questions yet?
Yes. I have my questions and everything ready to go.
Okay.
They've only answered the first question so far.
Oh my god.
Because, and maybe me, I'm like, I want answers like right now. But also,
what are they doing?
Both Roka, he's mentioned he's been actively live in some kind of recording format for himself with, Backstage Sen and recording for Top 10, his other channel, and then Outlaw Nation, so it's been like 8 hours of nonstop streaming for him. So I can only imagine his schedule on days like today.
I'll be honest. That's not unlike what's going on with me, except I do it to myself. No one's asking me except for Friday when everyone was asking me to come on. But hold on, I'm still trying to delete this old video because that's not letting me do it. So people are getting sent to the wrong freaking thing. Man, I need a producer. And then, while we start out, why don't you tell me why you picked this movie?
Yeah. Okay. Well, before we kind of dive into this, you want to talk real quickly about what cinema bias is, specifically,
Sure.
like the definition. Like I said, this is our second episode, so we probably need to elaborate on what cinema bias is and what specifically, what kind of different things we're going to be touching on for this episode.
Well, it's definitely a show that is definitely on the air right now. No one worry about that part of it. It is a show where we're going to sort of expose each other's sort of biases, preconceived notions about certain movies that we've avoided or for whatever reason didn't really like. I know because I've seen actually Josie and the Pussycats before, and I just never thought to watch it again. Like I knew enough to remember that like Alan Cumming was in it and Parker Posey was in it, but not enough to actually catch. Not enough to catch like the subtle nuances about what the show or what the movie actually was saying, which it was a lot more subtle than I remember it being. Like it actually had some structure. It wasn't a bad film by any means. I still have like some ish with it, but we can get into that. So this is a show like last week we watched Videodrew, which was my pick. And I had a lot to say about it, and Alex found it gross, I think, but tolerated it for me. I didn't find it
gross. It was just definitely a movie where I'm like, I'm glad I saw, because it's so different. I feel like everyone needs to watch Interstellar and 2001 Space Odyssey and an Alien, at least once in their lives. But how often do I plan on going back to watch it every Christmas? Probably not.
You don't watch Videodrew every Christmas? Like, what is wrong with you?
Maybe I should. Who knows? I do watch Silence of the Lambs every year with my family, though.
Really? That to me is a horror film.
Well, I mean, that's also a sentimental movie. That's a father-daughter movie in my house. My mom and I joined a book club when I was in middle school, like 7th or 8th grade, where we read through the entire Hannibal Lecter series.
Oh, I love the Hannibal Lecter series.
Okay. I love it.
Did you like the TV show Hannibal? Were you a big Hannibal fan?
Oh my gosh, the visuals of that show.
That show, do you know, I'll tell you something real quick. I have to grab my bag. My face is looking super red. But this has nothing to do with Josie and the Pussycats, by the way. But I based my wedding, half like my theme, my aesthetic of my wedding, on Hannibal.
Like that's the show?
Fun fact. Yeah, like the show. Of course, like the show. Like the movie, like Hannibal starring Gary Oldman. Like I was like having everyone wear like...
Hey, you never know. Maybe it's the colors or like, I don't know, the vibe. They're good.
Nope. That wasn't it. I just really loved that fucking movie.
Did you have like a Calvin Klein wedding dress?
No, I had like a very weird looking wedding dress. It was very like Carcosa. It was also like the summer that True Detective came out. So that like the whole like stag horns kind of thing. We had it like me and my ex-husband had our wedding in Bainbridge Island off the coast of Seattle, which was like very nice. And it was like in the middle of the woods, and it was very like, but I kept adding these Hannibal Lecter like aesthetic or Hannibal the show like aesthetics to it because I was like, this is my favorite thing in the world. And then they came out with the book about like eating Hannibal, which is the person who was the prop designer on it, like did a whole book on how to make like, because the food on the show looked so good. Like it would look so good. Anyway, I'm just trying to delay the inevitable, which is us exposing how prejudiced I am against girl band movies.
Well, going into this movie, okay, so if you've never heard of Josie and the Pussycats, just going to give you a quick analysis. Josie and the Pussycats is a really cool story, actually based off used to be a very popular comic series. Actually, I don't know if it's still continuing today.
Yeah, it's Riverdale. It's Riverdale, right?
It's like it's from that world. It's actually there's no specific name for the universe that I've known that I can remember. But it's from the same world as like Archie comics.
Yes, the REU as I call it, the Riverdale Extended Universe. Because I think like they're in Archie. I mean, they're on Riverdale. Like the characters of Josie.
Yeah, it takes place with the first half does take place within Riverdale, but there's but they don't specifically say Archie or anything. And like I mentioned, it's from the same publishing house, but and sometimes I do crossover, but there's no technical name for it. And I thought it was like Riverdale World or something along those lines, but technically there's no official name for it.
That's weird. I actually know the woman who had the I know her. I knew her. The woman who had the Riverdale, I don't know, she was granted into it. She didn't like create Riverdale or Archie comics, but she was like either grandfathered into it or her husband died and she was left the dynasty of Riverdale
No pressure.
And I remember, no pressure, but this was like this was like 6 or 7 years ago. And I remember her being like, but what if it's like a TV series? No, wait with me. Like, what if it's a dark and gritty TV series? And I was like, bitch, you cray. But, there it goes to show you, like,
You're just predicting the future, as it turns out.
Yeah. That woman had a very smart idea about what to do.
Mm-hmm. Just going to remind you just a little bit specifically about just a quick summarization of the movie. It's, these group of 3 girls are best friends. They have a band called the Pussycats, but they end up finding themselves in the middle of a conspiracy to deliver subliminal messages through popular music, which they don't really know about until towards the end of the movie. And it's, actually it's actually sponsored by the government, and it's like a whole thing. The government is trying to make teenagers into mindless drones to
consumer capitalism. Yes. So let me ask you this. Why did you pick this movie specifically for us to watch?
Yeah. Well, specifically, the reason I picked this is because, I did want to kind of go something in very much in a completely different direction from Videodrew. I do love a lot of these like really weird and interesting movies as well, but I kind of want to do something, again, just a complete 180. But also it goes back to my childhood. I used to love this movie. When I was like, I watched this movie, I remember like for the first time when I was like 11, 12, 13, around those like preteen times. And it just caught me at just the right age. I was coming off of Spice Girls a little bit, but this movie combined with the soundtrack, which is bomb, still holds up.
Yeah, I gotta say the music was pretty good.
It's great music. It really holds up. But also, it's the visuals are so cool. It's a very much a movie that's very specifically early 2000s, visually speaking.
Yes.
But it has a lot of but it has a lot of really cool things to say that, I feel like you don't really catch when you're younger. But when you're older, you're like, oh, I see what you did there. I see the little Easter eggs.
Yeah. I mean,
that little 10-year-old me probably couldn't see.
I mean, everything from so for me, the thing that stuck with me for the first time I saw this movie was like all the cameos in the beginning. There's there's Seth Green, there's Breckin Meyer, and those were like the big names. Hold on, I'm gonna turn the light on.
Oh my gosh. There was what's his name from Scrubs?
Oh my God, it was Donald something. Yeah, that guy rolling with the home. Not that guy, but
oh my
Donald
Backdoor Lover.
Yes. That's something I didn't pick up until I was older, although I wish I had. Somehow this light hasn't helped at all. If it's just giving me a glare, that's amazing. I'm still in shadow. I also remember
you look angelic. You look
wonderful.
Very angelic.
The frowning angel. That's this
even
year.
More angelic.
Donald Faison. Thank you.
Yes.
Guys, I should mention because go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say it was like a nice little reunion there from him being what's his name being Turk.
Yes.
Because they actually had a little reunion from being both in Clueless.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they both were in Clueless. Breckin and Donald were, and I feel like Breckin and Seth Green were definitely in Can't Hardly Wait. Breckin Meyer was in. All 3 were in Can't Hardly Wait. All 3 guys were in Can't Wait. So that's why I kept being like, this movie is kind of like. I remember it as a kid being like looking forward to it because I thought it was going to be kind of like that movie, and then being like, oh, this movie sucks. I think honestly that it wasn't that I didn't understand the themes. It was just by the time this movie came out, I was moving a little bit out of the age. Like by the early 2000s, I was already in high school.
Yeah.
So
it also, I think that's something kind of interesting about that. It's just I don't want to say it predicts, but it definitely kind of mentions like it's in 2001 where boy bands and girl bands and everything were still kind of popular. It's pretty much saying to the end of pop bands, and it's kind of moving in the direction towards a little just like pop punk a little bit. So I read some articles saying that this is like one of the big things that it definitely predicts in the future, and I'm like, calm down.
Calm down. You need to calm down.
Like it's like then suddenly we had like Avril Lavigne, and then we had.
Are they saying they predicted Avril Lavigne? I mean, obviously, from the way this movie opens, it was already a satirization of NSYNC and Backstreet Boys, because that's how we open up. We open up on So yeah, I love how we're spending like all this time. Well, all this time, but like, so the movie opens up. Let's walk through it real quick, and we're introduced with this boy band. What's their name?
Du jour.
Du jour, which is also a very funny idea because they are the band Du jour. It's Donald Faison, it's Breckin Meyer, it's a guy who might have actually been in one of these boy bands because I didn't recognize him, and Seth Green. And they're coming off of their big tour. There's like screaming fans. It looks like they're somehow both outside a mall and also an airplane hangar at the same time. You know, like all those things you'd see like when at these big concerts with these girls that were screaming, and like, so they get on their plane. Alan Cumming is their manager. They get into a little tiff, a little argument. And then Seth Green, I believe, points out that there's something a little bit weird in the contract, which causes Alan Cumming to go like, "One moment, please." And he goes to the pilot and he's like, "Plan B" or whatever. And then they jump out of the airplane together and like, I guess. And then the plane crashes, it seems.
Yeah. Well,
as far as you know.
Yeah. They talked about how they were doing some kind of fighting, and they're like, du jour means friendship. Du jour means love.
Yeah.
Du jour means family. Du
jour means family.
It means family. But he actually kind of brings up, and they were talking about, it's like, oh yeah, we're actively making some remixes, and I noticed in the background there's one of these things, and he puts the headphones on him, and he's like, oh fuck, you found out. Now I do.
I like how I watched this movie yesterday, and I still got that detail wrong. It's not in their contract.
Like, it's like such a throwaway thing. But it's kind of funny because, Backdoor Lover kind of alludes to the whole idea of gay sex. And they're kind of already in this like kind of flamboyant, like guy.
It was that part of 2000s where like, it was that part of 2000 where like gay stuff was still funny, as long as it was sort of, it wasn't like expressly like gay people are bad. It was still funny to be like, people are gay. Yeah.
Exactly.
And yeah.
So the Backward Lover kind of refers to even Seth Green. He even references it in his show Chicken Robot.
Robot Chicken.
Yeah, they do skits with referring to that band and also Pussycats, and they have like all of these a lot of people like come back making cameos to be in the band, which is cool. But I was actually going to touch on that here in a minute. But specifically, one of the characters actually has a pet monkey. Yes. Yep. It's not named Pooh. And I was going to see if you were going to catch that, which I didn't.
The pet monkey?
There's a pet monkey specifically with a very interesting name.
Oh, no, I didn't notice. Gosh, no, you're really quizzing me, Alex. I didn't catch the name, but I believe it was a Michael Jackson reference, wasn't it?
It was Dr. Zaius.
Oh, Dr. Zaius from
Planet of the Apes.
That's cool. That's like a 5-pointer right there.
There you go. Yeah.
But when you say this isn't like, this movie doesn't take place in the Archie universe, I'm pretty sure they open up then on Riverdale. We cut to Riverdale.
Yeah. It mentions this in Riverdale. It does take place in the same universe, absolutely. But I just mean like there's no, like, technically speaking, like they don't reference high school or anything outside of the name of Riverdale.
Well, I was wondering that so we get introduced to Josie, who's played by Rachel Lee Cook. I got it right this time. Rachel Lee Cook. And Rosario Dawson, is it?
She plays Valerie Brown, absolutely.
And Tara Reid, and probably like the most Tara Reid of Tara Reid roles, because this is just, I actually like, out of everything probably in this movie that I came back and I had more respect for, I walked away having some respect for Tara Reid.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. It can be very difficult to play characters like stereotypical, like dumb characters like that.
Yes.
But I feel like she does it in a way where I don't hate her, if that makes sense.
I don't hate her.
Like,
I remember
it's not super annoying. A lot of characters, it's just super annoying. Like you just don't want them in the movie almost. Like I can do away with them. But it's not character.
I mean, her fight scene with Carson Daly, I think, remains like the highlight of the movie for me.
Yeah,
probably.
Like considering the behind the scenes stuff going into it.
Right. So we get introduced to this girl, Gran. They're in high school, but they have like a manager who's like this other guy from high school.
Well, technically they're not in high school. They're right out of high school. They're playing their song 16 hours and 5 more days. And then I didn't realize that I had this song memorized until I listened to it. That is what we're done. And 16 hours. So it's very funny because this is like the most poppy of pop songs. And yet the whole plot revolves around like the refusal to be a corporate shill, to be the refusal to like let your art be
bastardized by corporate interests, and yet it's like the most poppy pop song. It's like when Modest Mouse was like in a car commercial, and you're like, okay, well, I guess like it's actually not. It's like the opposite of that. It's like when Bob Dylan is used in something, and they're like, oh, he shouldn't have been used in a commercial. That's like that's so wrong. You shouldn't use blah blah. And it's like there's a reason something's sold out, right? You can't like sell out if you don't buy into something. So the idea of these people being sellouts is kind of funny because they're just out of high school. Like, why wouldn't they want to just like sell their souls and get like a bunch of corporate sponsors and go to the mall? Like, who wouldn't want that?
Yeah.
But these people have integrity.
Well, I mean, that's like one of the points of the movie. I mean, like it kind of makes note that, I mean, they're very, very young.
Yeah.
And, I mean, just by the way they talk and like what they eat, they're eating like ramen for breakfast with Krispy Kreme donuts.
It's funny.
Like that.
Circling back for 1 second, it is like very important to note. Like I hadn't realized that because they do kind of open like on a high school kind of band scene. It is, or, they turn out to be for littler kids, but it is important to note that they're out of high school because there is like some sexual undertones. There's some like flirtation that goes on, and it would not be okay for like Carson Daly to be hitting on like a 16-year-old Tara Reid. So like we do have to make mention that she's not supposed to be in high school. And they were together. They were together during this time, right? Like IRL.
They were together when they started. They actually met for the first time while making this movie. And they met for the first time while making this movie, and on set they got chatting and everything. And they ended up becoming engaged within like a matter of months. But by the time this movie came out, they broke off their engagement.
Oh my God.
So well, that like awkward.
But also like the cameo doesn't make sense unless they're engaged. Like unless they're like together, or like I guess it makes more sense if they're broken up. But like the cameo like really only tracks as like Carson Daly is hitting on Tara Reid. I guess I could see that it being written a different way, and then when they start getting together, they're like, let's make the scene be about how Tara Reid. So that's jumping ahead a little bit though. So basically, they meet Alan Cumming, who is nefarious, who he himself has other bosses, like he has other employers.
He is just like a record producer. He is a band manager, constantly on the lookout for new talent kind of thing. And because De Jour, the boy band that he was running previously, they figured out stuff they did.
Sort of. They listened to their own songs.
He's like, well, we obviously got to get rid of him, so we're going to crash this plane. By announcing to the pilot, we are going to crash this plane. They say we got to do
bring the Chevy to the levee.
Chevy to the levee.
Which is a reference
to American Pie's Don McLean's, Day the Music Died, obviously, with the plane crash featuring Buddy Holly, Richie Valens, as well as J.P. Richardson. But also, fun fact for you. I'm sorry. I keep bringing all these fun facts for you.
No, I love
it. The character of Valerie, played by Rosario Dawson, they actually considered Aaliyah, the singer, to play her. And she actually auditioned. She wanted to do it, but she couldn't do it because of schedule conflicts. But this movie, they literally into a plane crash. And 3 months after the release of this movie, they realize she gets into a plane crash.
No.
So it's just like,
no, that's horrible.
Interesting time.
Oh my God, that's like one of those spooky facts that I didn't want to know.
It really.
Although everything, like we watched Cats last night, and for NerdChronic's podcast, and I have to say everything that used to be like spooky or creepy or weird. Like remember when 2019's like worst thing that happened to 2019 was Cats? Like that was the plague of existence in 2019. And we got to 2020 and nothing, like anything that's in a movie just seems like hilariously small stakes compared to what's going on.
Or even, I'm trying to help you, motherfucker. Remember when that was like the worst thing to go around?
I mean, remember when Trump was like the worst thing to go around? Remember when like anything else besides this like was the worst thing to go around? However, that being said, this movie, let's keep going here a little bit. I don't want to get too off track. So Parker Posey, who is my spirit animal, it's like her and Helena Bonham Carter are like my two people that I want to be like. I was obsessed with Parker Posey when I was the age of this movie coming out.
She was amazing.
So like, especially at the end, but again, I don't want to jump ahead. Like, I was obsessed with her when this movie came out. I might have gone to see it because I thought the movie was going to be a little bit more her focused. Like I remember but she wasn't like the star of it. She wasn't even like a big name yet. But there was this movie called House of Yes that was based on a play that is like it's a really great film with her and Freddie Prinze Jr. And it's about a woman who thinks she's Jackie Onassis, who's in love with her twin brother. And it's real dark. And I remember that I was obsessed with her through that. And so coming to that, like Josie and the Pussycats was like a little bit of a genre shift.
Not only that, Rachel, what's her name? Yeah. Oh, Rachel Lee Cook actually plays a younger version of her character, of Parker Posey's character from House of Yes.
Yes. How'd you know that? Who told you? Who told you that?
I might have seen the movie before, and I might have looked through the pages.
What's funny is I remember that, and I remember like at the top of the show being like, it's weird that Rachel Evan, sort of like the end of that movie. Spoilers, but yes, I remember that happened. I don't know if these two movies were synced up. Were they the same year or something? Like, how did that happen?
Well, we have the technology. I can find out here in a hot second.
It is true that I do like talking to Alex a lot, so I'm very focused. Guys, I'm so focused I forgot to put up the StreamYards.
House of Yes came 4 years prior, so that is a good amount of time in between, though.
That must have just been another weird coincidence then, because so Rachel Lee Cook plays a young Parker Posey in House of Yes, which is a great movie. That's funny. That's like something I was considering putting on the list of something to make you watch for Cinema Bias, but I guess we'll just scratch that one out.
Oh, I mean, I haven't seen it since I was like 12, so
it's a dark one. So, guys, I just put up Streamlabs. I just opened it and it's launched. And let me see, do a test. And
please, if you guys have any specific questions or anything you would like to point out, or if you have like a fun fact you really want to brag about, please bring it to our attention by doing
because it is very hard when I want to focus just on talking to Alex about everything that to also be reading the comments. So please send over, even if it's just $1, just sending it over on videodrew.club will alert me and I can read out your question and we'll just keep going. So Parker, I'm like reading the description a little bit. I'm sorry about this, but like this is not the kind of movie where I think linearly about it. So like I know the big themes of it, but not like exactly the plot.
No worries. So that's me. Okay, that's my job. I can do that for us. Okay. Well, after the car crash and everything, Alan Cumming, he's in the process. He needs a new band. He needs to take over. Essentially, he's like, you know what? We still have products to sell. We still have contracts with the government. We need to send out those subliminal messages. I need a band ASAP. So he comes across the Pussycat Dolls after that are actually in the process of running away from
Josie.
the cops. Yeah, Josie, the Pussycats. Thank you.
The Pussycat Dolls is something else, right?
The cops. I'm sorry?
Are the Pussycat Dolls like another band that existed during
this time I keep calling it that. I mean, I've said the Pussycat Dolls have been like a band for, I've been a girls group for years, so it's hard not to say Pussycat Dolls.
I think they came out around the same time. That's why I was like, wait, is it the same thing? Like were they related?
Around then.
So then there's a weird dynamic that I'm just realizing that their manager, so they have their own manager, which is like someone their age. I always thought that he was with his girlfriend character, but it turns out that's his sister. That's weird. Let's welcome Alexander.
I mean, she's actually one of my favorite characters in the entire show. The sister is actually played by Missy something.
Missy Pyle.
Yes, Missy Pyle, thank you. But she's really, really funny. She has like several really great lines. Actually, one of my favorite lines in the movie. So we're going to kind of come to that a little bit later. But, you know, Alan Cumming's character, he's like, you know what? This is a band. I have not even heard to them make music, but they already look pretty stellar as a band. So let's make it happen. So they bring
and he wants somebody that's like stupid, right? Like, I mean, the whole point is that they pick du jour. They pick these girls thinking that they're going to be chumps and they were going to be corporate shills because, I mean, this is a criticism of like all these commercial Michael Jacksonisms. Like, you know, a lot of music was being made commercially. And there was this idea, you know, like in the early aughts, it had been an issue for a while, but like, I feel like specifically in the early aughts, there was this sort of rebellion against this idea of selling out and putting your music on Pepsi labels or like, you know, Michael Jackson doing a big commercial for I forgot if it was Coke or Pepsi. So this idea that like, yes, your favorite artists are secretly trying to tell you to go to the mall was like trenchant. I feel like it was definitely trenchant. But what's funny is it actually works on them. It works on the dolls themselves at first, which is the part that I had forgotten.
Well, there's even those moments where it's they there's like a moment in a record store towards the beginning of the movie where Alan Cumming's character as a manager, he's like, hey, this is like the last son de jour made before they unfortunately passed.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. But and suddenly this like really poppy kind of like R&B-ish song kind of came up, and suddenly everyone's like, orange is the new pink.
They literally, I think they say orange.
I want Puma.
It's Du Jour's final song, so that's what it is.
Yeah.
He puts on Du Jour's final track, and their final track like makes everybody who's supposed to be taking the moment of silence to be like, orange is a new pink, and then starts spouting these platitudes. I want to get an orange Julius. There's not all orange related. My brain just isn't working right now. I feel like there's a lack of blood flow. But they're like, let's go to the mall. Let's do this. I mean, it was a lot of like mall centric ish.
Yes.
Which I think was itself like a criticism too of like the Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, like sort of tweeny bopper thing that was going on.
I don't know about that. Honestly, it's more like, I mean, it's just more like at the time, that's what you did after school. You go to the mall and just sit in the food court and have fun. I mean, it's
Absolutely.
even like mentioned. I mean, like even like going back to the 80s, if you want to talk about the whole season of Stranger Things, like or even referencing in the new trailer of Wonder Woman, where they talk about
I think it's the same mall.
Massive the mall is, and it's important.
Do you think that's the same mall? The Wonder Woman, not to get off track, but I think that mall from Wonder Woman is the mall from Stranger Things, because like I was looking at the shot and I was like, that's the same. It's got to be the same mall.
I haven't seen Stranger Things.
Oh, the season 3 of Stranger Things takes place in a mall specifically, and
I've seen trailers and scenes from it, but I haven't seen the show overall.
If anyone knows whether or not that's the same mall, hit me up.
Yeah. I would say, but it kind of, those moments kind of take place, but I mean, there's like one girl that she's like, this music is trash, right? It's like, I am not a mindless drone. I'm just not gonna.
There's a Daria.
Yeah, there's a Daria. I love it. And she's like, I'm not gonna listen to just whatever you want to say. And suddenly the Alan Cumming is like, really? As a record,
God, yeah.
It's like, as a record producer, we are dying to know your opinions at all times. So see what we can do to improve. And he's like, what was it? It smells like Teen Spirit.
Yeah, and then he just like goes and like throws her into a van that's like, that just comes up
into a van.
So let's go through the rest of the plot pretty quick, because I have a kind of hard out here. But basically what happens is there's a big falling out between Josie and Rosario Dawson's character, because Josie is like happy. I feel like happier, like selling out or going with the Alan Cumming idea. And Rosario Dawson's like, your du jour means friendship kind of way. She's kind of like, you're selling out, you're breaking away from us, you're not being true to the artistic integrity of 16 hours and 5 whole days or whatever. And so they kind of have a falling out, during which time they have this Total Request Live thing happen, which is really the set piece of the film, in my opinion.
Yes.
Which is, because this is kind of where everything hits ahead, and it's also kind of where the parody aspect starts to blur a little bit, because Total Request Live was the hottest show that you could possibly be on. And this was like back when MTV played music. If you guys don't understand what I'm talking about, MTV used to be music, and then it became TV shows. Now, when it was like TV shows that were not about music, Total Request Live was like kind of the bridge between them. It was a live show, as evidenced by its name. It was hosted by a lot of people. I feel like it was eventually done by Carson Daly, but Jesse, I feel like from The Real World, hosted it for a while. And so Carson was kind of like, he's, it's Carson Daly. It's like a young Carson Daly. He's just banal.
Yeah.
He's totally harmless. So right before they go on Total Request Live, they kind of uncover this plot that they're being used to sell young Americans on goods and products probably made in China. That's never said explicitly. I just think the Overseas Labor Department, like, is a funny concept of this. The international implications of this movie is vast, because all that stuff that people are buying is being made in Taiwan. That being said,
something to kind of make note of, though, as well, is that even though there is so much discussion on consumerism, on product placements and everything, and subliminal messaging, the movie is nonstop covered with brands, with advertisements and everything as well. But also, even the creators and directors, everyone involved has mentioned the production, the movie did cost like 38 or 39 million to make, and unfortunately it only made like some 15 million. So it was a huge box office fail, unfortunately. However, they actually did not make any money from promotions or product placement.
What the hell? What do you mean? You mean that was just free?
Like, they
was
had
that illegal?
Companies to let them to use their brands because, you know, the argument was like, you know, it's not being painted in a good light. You're using our brands in a way that we're not super.
Why not? Why not use fake brand? That's fascinating. That is fascinating to know.
Yeah,
because
it was circa 2001, and this was a very new idea. So,
what it was I think it was a direct response to Wayne's World, because Wayne's World had that very famous joke where like they're like, we're not going to sell out for branding, and he's like, like
Reebok, Pizza Hut.
Yeah, exactly. And that's like an in-world joke that like is a nod to an audience, but I'm sure it actually got paid off by Pepsi, like, you know, as a branding thing. To use a brand and not get paid for it, seems like illegal, because then can't the brand sue you? Like, I
mean, again, in their case, they said it wasn't like each of the brands specifically wasn't on screen long enough to have like any kind of positive or negative association.
And why not just use fake brands? Like that's what every tech support.
But also, I mean, maybe it was just much more expensive to come up with the idea of the fake brands, and also they wanted that kind of recognition. They wanted this is supposed to be in this kind of almost like a slightly fantasy based, but at the same time, kind of a real world. We want to recognize our own world within this fantasy world as well.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. It's very funny to me that like this whole movie is about corporate sponsorship and like the evils of corporate sponsorship, but then itself like didn't bother making like fake brands and was going to beg on the doorsteps of brands to like use their name for free and then not paint them in a positive light.
Yeah, they just pretty much went up and did it without their permission.
That's fascinating. Did they get sued?
They just pretty much, that's apparently how they did it. You know, there's whole mentions, you know, Alan Cumming, he's talking about, you know, it's where he's like, you know, you guys are going to be Josie and the Pussycats, not just the Pussycats anymore. And, you know, he's like, would you rather be a fan of the Pussycats, or would you rather be or can you imagine a comic, a book, a movie, or a CD based off Josie and the Pussycats?
Oh God, I love it. I love your Alan Cumming impression. First of all, like, let me just say that's a great Alan Cumming. Alan Cumming is a hero of mine. I got to profile him for when we revamped The Observer. I did our first ever celebrity cover story, and he was it. So like he's got such a place in my heart. He's so amazing. And that was a very good impression of him. But yes, in the sense that itself is also an interworld joke. What it also reminded me of, because Josie and the Pussycats being a comic, being a movie, and then being a CD that was let out, like it's an all insular world, which is why I think maybe they should have just gone with fake brands. Like, you know, Archie's friend Jughead's always eating a freaking burger just from a fake restaurant. Like, make it that. What I was going to say, though, is the other movie this kind of reminds me of in terms of where it wants to be in terms of a satire is Spice World, which had come out a couple years prior. And that was another, like, that was based on a pre-existing band, of course, the Spice Girls. They were huge at the time. But that movie also took a very satirical tone towards the idea of fame and girl bands and, like, paparazzi and what it meant to be famous and what it meant to, like, stick together. And I feel like this movie kind of was reaching for that, but, like, was reaching for it, but wanted to make a comment about, like, commercialism while at the same time being, like, appealing to the most commercial sort of aspects of the audience.
Well, I mean, it's a very fun movie. You know, these women are actresses. You know, all these people involved, they have long-standing careers within the industry. The difference between this and Spice World is that Spice World went into it wanting to make an extended version of a music video. Yeah. Yeah. You know, and, you know, complete respect to that. But also they're very vocal about, you know, all the people that are involved that are, you know, that are actors. They're doing like just a different version of themselves. I mean, like Roger Moore, he's doing like a play on Dr. Evil with a cat. I mean, it's fantastic. And they apparently Roger Moore actually begged to be in that movie because his granddaughter was apparently pissed that he like turned it down initially or something along those lines. Anyway, but back to the movie.
So back to the movie. So there's this huge fight during Total Request Live, during which Carson Daly turns out to be a sort of pawn in this whole game, and he's fighting with Tara Reid, and they're trying to
kill the girl.
They're trying to
at the time.
They're trying to kill the girls. There turns out to be this whole subplot with the headphones. There's these kind of cat ear headphones, which you can actually see people wearing around today. Like, LOL, that just became a reality. I feel like It turns out I said
of the future.
Yes. It turns out du jour, they are not dead. They come back. They come back to sort of fight in the final fight scene because they had landed in a Metallica concert, I feel like. Is that what happened?
Yeah, they said, he said they landed at a Metallica concert and they got beaten to a pulp. Yes.
Which is hilarious. Like, Metallica fans would hate boy bands. That makes sense. That tracks.
Yeah, and even the lead singer, he's like, the only reason why he survived is because he knew the lyrics to Enter Sandman.
Which is really funny. This movie has like a lot to say. I just feel like it was probably hampered a lot by the fact that it sorry, I'm like dying for pride. It was hampered a lot by the fact that it is sort of a poppy movie that's made for teen girls. So in that way wants to appeal to what teen girls like, which is the mall. So it's trying to be like anti-mall, but pro-mall.
Well, I do feel like there are quite a few problems with this movie because in real life, when they did market this movie, they did market towards girls my age, between like the ages of like 8 to 15 kind of thing. And the problem with that is at the time, a lot of those themes and those things are going to be going over my head. However, me as an adult, I would definitely watch this. I don't know if I would pay money to see it, but I would definitely like watch it and I would completely understand a lot of the satire. Versus 10-year-old me, definitely not, obviously.
Yeah. Can I ask a question? Why does your husband know so much about this goddamn movie? It's amazing.
Because he just watched it like an hour ago.
I want Lucas to be like the pop-up video for this series where like just occasionally there'll be like a bloop and like Lucas comes in like his avatar and he's like, did you know? Yeah. Did you know Metallica hilariously got called out for selling out? I mean, yes, that is ironic. We've totally glossed over my favorite part, which is Parker Posey. She is revealed so the big reveal here is the bad guys are, they're bad, but they also fall in love with each other. Parker Posey and Ellen Cumming. Mm-hmm. Turns out they're both outcasts themselves. They'd wanted to take down sort of commercial popism, I guess, from the inside, but it turns out that one's an albino and one has a lisp.
They just wanted to become popular and well-liked. Yeah. That's why they joined this kind of world where they could possibly manipulate those medias into like somehow liking him. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she is Parker Posey's the most beautiful, fun girl. And
what's funny,
friends with her.
But hilariously, that's not what happens if you're a band's manager or you're the record studio owner. Like, that's not how you become popular. Like, no one knows who the fuck you are. So that's just a hilarious side note. Like, you don't become popular by, running a recording studio. You become popular by being Josie and the Pussycats. Yeah. I also really like the line where Alan Cummings like, who would see a band called the Pussycats when very clearly the Pussycat Dolls is I'm not sure if they existed yet or if that came after. They didn't exist
yet, for all I know. Yeah.
Because like a lot of people will go see a band called the Pussycats. It sounds real dirty.
I love the Pussycat Dolls. They're so much fun. But I mean, there's a lot of really great moments in this movie. A lot of great lines, standout moments, and characters and everything. What would you say is like one of your favorite lines or favorite specific moments of this movie?
Though? Okay. So, gosh, I want to just go back to the beginning. I mean, the two parts I remembered super well. 3 parts were the Total Recast Live. So like the Tara Reid having like a dumb fight with Carson Daly. Like these actors, the celebrities playing themselves was like was a novel concept. It was very like 30 Rock. It was very like, like watch this character play a dumb version of themselves. And Carson Daly, who I didn't like at all because I wasn't a big MTV person, he seemed totally like Ryan Seacrest-ish. She seems totally boring and obnoxious, like in the way that he was just nothing to me. Like he just seemed like a boring nothing. And I hated that. Like I didn't hate it. I just didn't bother with him. And then when I saw him playing a parody version of himself, I'm like, well, at least he can take a joke. And yes, by that point, him and Tara Reid were getting a divorce. And like, so the timeline was a little messy. So I had assumed that they had filmed that scene or like gotten him to do the cameo.
Yeah. They were involved. They were never married technically.
Okay, so I just thought that they had brought him on being like, don't you want to have a fun scene with your fiance and we can put it in the movie? It seems like what happened was Carson Daly was just like, I'm willing to do this thing. And then he met Tara Reid on the set and the romance happened. So that's in a certain chronology. But as a moment of like a capsule time thing for what this movie was in 2000s, like what was going on, the Tara Reid, Carson Daly fighting, like, and then falling in love while fighting because they're both so stupid. Was probably like my vision of what Total Request Live was at the time. I also really loved the opening. Like I remember as a kid being like, yes, I had a huge crush on Seth Green from Can't Hardly Wait and from
Backdoor Lover.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I loved him. Did you say this was the same people who did, or was that another conversation? Like the director of this was the director of
Oh no, it's actually one of the big things. Actually, something to kind of touch on is that the director duo. I know you said that you are actually very familiar. You interviewed with them. You did a panel with them. It's actually Harry Alphonse and Deborah Kaplan. But they actually said during interviews after this movie came out and it became just a huge box office bomb, it was so critically panned universally, they actually decided to never direct again, together or separately. They are actually more of a writing team now. A very successful writing team.
Wait. That's hilarious. Can you imagine doing something that you hate, like that's so bad that you're like, I promise to never do my career again. Like I'm like, that's like falling on your sword. Like that's literally like committing like seppuku.
Well, it's not. I don't know about that. It's just more like they're. I mean, a lot of creators in this field. I mean, like you yourself included. I mean, you guys are so multifaceted. You have a lot of different specific skills, obviously, and they were actually writers long before they were doing this. This is actually the only movie. Full-length feature film that they ever did, and now but they were very successful as writers. So they were like, well, we tried it out, fucked it up, but
I'm seeing what happened here, which is and this makes sense now actually to know the trajectory. Writers in their heads, while we're writing, whatever, like they had a statement to make that was anti-commercialism, that was anti-whatever. In the course of making and directing this movie, they themselves had to like sell out on multiple different levels, including the branding, including trying to get the brands themselves involved. Probably like, in the directing of the people. Directing is a totally different beast than writing. And though we like 100%. To think of like, excuse me, and though we, you go for a second.
Oh yeah, I was like, yeah, you want some water? Get yourself some water, girl. Okay.
I like to think about like tourism. It's like one thing. It's writer director. It's not really, and directors have to make a lot of compromises that writers themselves probably would never make. So like I can see why they would never go back to directing after having had this specific experience.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was not, I don't know about during production. Maybe it was a super difficult movie to make, or I don't know. But I mean, it's not a Oscar-winning film or anything along those lines, but it's it's a moment. It's a movie with a handful of really great moments and lines, which I appreciate. And my personal favorite line is actually by, like mentioned, Missy Pike's line, where the manager's sister, where she's like, "Hey, why are you even here?" And they're on the airplane, and she says, "Because I'm in the comics." And he's like,
"I'm in the comics."
What?
I promise I'm not dying of corona. I'm choking on a fry. So. Got good look.
Oh yeah, just get it out of your system, girl. I feel you. Yeah. But yeah, water. It's but like I mentioned, it's just like those little moments like that, I like how self-aware it is. It's very meta, which I appreciate, especially for movies at that time where meta films were just starting to come out.
Yeah,
it's definitely something kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, I like that. I liked it. I liked what they were going for. And now that I understand a little bit more about it being like a writer's thing, because you can tell there's a disconnect. My God. I want to keep talking, but I also don't want to die.
No worries. It's all good. Go into the elbow.
But it's not that. I have like a choking thing from a fry. You can tell there's a disconnect between the themes of the movie and what comes out of the movie. The themes of the movie are anti-corporate. The movie itself is very corporate.
By its very nature, it's corporate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would give this movie like a 6 out of 10, maybe.
Yeah.
I would. I might actually have to cut this off because we are going to be live soon.
Yeah. No worries. Yeah.
I don't want to die.
Well, do you want to specifically let me know what movie you're picking for us next time?
Yes, I do. Okay, so I want to pick. Oh, I don't know which direction to go in this. I actually have a list, but I think I want to go with Cube.
Cube?
Cube.
Cube.
It's one of it's one of my favorite movies of all time.
What year?
Believe it's
This is all news to me. Never heard of it.
1997.
97?
Naftali, it's who's director? Vincenzo Naftali. Great film. It's a Canadian sci-fi horror film. It's an independent film. It's by the guy who made Splice.
Oh,
And
nice.
Haunter. And I don't want to explain anything more about it because I don't want to ruin it for you. I don't want you to Google anything before seeing it. I want you to just go into it blind.
I can assure you, Lucas has already bought the movie for me.
Lucas is already about the movie. It is maybe one of my favorite films of all time, and we will get into why next week. But I'm very interested because this is, I think, like what we're finding out here is we're picking movies that have very interesting themes that have to deal a lot with the same kind of issues. Like Videodrew was also about like corporate brainwashing in a sense. You know, like in this movie is, and not Cube isn't the same thing, but there's definitely these overarching feelings of manipulation about who's controlling who, about you know, governments and private citizens and mediums and there
definitely has been a theme for sure. Now, before I leave you, you're gonna go do a pretty awesome birthday stream, which I can't wait.
I hope you guys join, and I hope I'm not dying by the time it starts.
You need to go get some water, probably go to the wrong tube or something. I know you said you give it a rating at 6 out of 10, and I know Lucas has mentioned it's like, did I not successfully get Videodrew to love this movie? I do want to point out the purpose of this is not to convert someone to love it or hate it. It's more or less to kind of shine a light on a movie they might have never been able to.
By the way, Lucas was successful. Lucas was successful. I would give this movie going into it, like as I remembered it, like a 3. And it's literally the knowledge of that these people were writers who then like themselves went through the process of having to sell out and go to these brands and beg them to be in it. Yeah, it's the behind the scenes stuff that puts the movies sort of weird, like, and the movie is fighting with itself in a lot of ways, and like that makes sense now. The movie was being written and then it was directed, and in the act of directing it had to suffer the fate of du jour essentially.
Exactly. It's again very, very meta. Do you describe this movie as recommendable? Like, would you tell other people to watch it as well?
I guess it would be like, who would I tell to watch it? Like who would I think like this movie?
Or not like it. I mean, it's probably not a movie I would tell John Roca to watch, but at the same time, I'm like, this is probably not a movie you have ever come across.
I mean, I can promise you John Roca probably. I promise you John Roca has seen this movie and probably knows some of the lyrics to it. John Roca is if it's a movie about music in a capacity, I bet John Roca reviewed it or saw it. Although I don't know what he was doing in the early aughts. Probably, I don't know, having grandkids.
Yeah,
but okay. Cube is actually, it's on YouTube for free. It says. I don't know if that might be because I bought it, but if you guys need the link, let me know.
It's also on Amazon.
Yeah. So guys, next week, Cube, same cat time, same cat place, and I promise I won't be dying. Sorry for the little bit of rush nature for all this. I've been busy doing stuff to prepare for this birthday stuff, and but I did really appreciate the ability to come back and rewatch a movie and gain some context. I do feel like this is like taking a film class in a way, because finding out things about movies that generally Schmoedown allows me to or it encourages you to memorize stuff, to know, to do note cards. This allows you to explore stuff, I feel like, in a way that is very different and way more up my alley in terms of how I like to interact with media. Yeah,
it kind of forces us to kind of think outside the box a little bit in ways that that would be very foreign to us. Well, at least foreign to me. So. As
Marshall McLuhan might call it, it's a cold medium. But on that note, guys, please like and subscribe. Please follow Alex. Why don't you?
That one.
I need one of those. This was something I was trying to figure out while writing the little bio. How many shows on Call to Action Network or Action Industries are you on? You're on Ladies Night. You're on Schmoebates.
Well, yeah. I run Schmoebates. We do Ladies Night once every 3 weeks or something. It's just like whenever we're able to come together, and we all have very different work schedules. So that's why it's just kind of hit and miss. We don't like schedule it. We don't like to schedule it on every third Friday or
you
something.
need to have me on one of those times because I love not scheduling things.
We'll definitely do something for sure.
And then tomorrow you have again.
Tomorrow I'm going to be having John Roca as well as William Bibiani. They're going to be going head to head in a little schmo bit. I'm going to be hosting tomorrow with Kelsey, my girl, and it's going to be a fun time. We're going to be having them argue and debate to the death. Hey,
let me just real quick. Saul, I got the microphone set up. Come on. Yes, I know sorry, that's just going to bother me. Saul, I got one thing fixed, Saul.
It takes time.
Okay, this Roca Bibiani thing is going to be epic. Like, it is what I'm tuning in for with that popcorn gif. Like, of somebody just being like, I can't wait to see the questions you picked. Guys, right after this, in about 30 minutes or under 30 minutes, we're going to be having an all-night slumber party for NerdChronic's birthday. We're going to be playing prizes. We're going to be playing trivia games. We're going to be having guests on, hopefully. We're going to be playing a very special birthday present from all of us to NerdChronic. And I'm not going to try to pander or shill anything, but if you really like Schmoedown and you like the editing, and of course you do, and everyone loves Eric, then you must show up to this stream at some point tonight.
Oh, obviously.
To show your love and to say hi. So I'll be seeing you guys, and hopefully you too, Alex, very shortly.
Yeah, absolutely.
We can find me on Videodrew across all platforms. Videodrew.club is my StreamYards. I really should have never gone with the custom domain name because it's confusing everybody. I do Twitch, and I have a new series, Videodrew Reviews. It's going to be Patreon only and going to be in character. So, Danny, I think that you might see a surprise cameo from someone that you like very, very much, whose name might rhyme with Schmallen. So we'll look forward to that. And Alex, you look radiant as always, my darling. I can't wait to talk about Cube with you. I cannot wait.
So, wait, what if I come in and hate it?
That's fine. That's what cinema bias is.
It's gonna be trash.
What's funny is we just got something. We got one thing saying Lucas, thanks, Lucas just donated without a message. Come on, Lucas, where's the pop-up video?
Wow, Lucas.
Well, Lucas, we gotta. Lucas, roll us out on one fact about anything. I just want to get pop-up fact.
Lucas is Mr. Random Facts, man. He knows such a.
I love that.
He has such a slew of knowledge. It's ridiculous. He casually read about the U.S. economy over a span of 3 months.
Yes, I mean,
he read 5 books on American, early American economy.
Has he read?
So random.
Lucas, have you read Lionel Shriver's newest book, something about the mandibles? It's fiction, but it's a really good projection of how the American economy could crumple in a hypothetical situation.
Not sure, but regardless, I'm not in control of this. Okay, you guys think. Yeah, thank you guys so much for doing this. We really appreciate you guys for coming out and hanging out with us. We're definitely going to go really dive into Cube next week, so definitely stay tuned for that. We're going to try to keep this to Tuesday evenings around this time. But yeah, we would really appreciate if you kind of make it part of your schedule. Definitely like and subscribe and check out Drew's Patreon, Twitch, all that good stuff. We're kind of in a weird time right now, so every little bit counts. But also, keep yourselves healthy, happy, go take a walk if you can. Be sure to wash your hands, all that good stuff. Pussycat dolls were a burlesque dance troupe until a rebranding in 2003. Oh, good to know. Good to know. Oh, and Garth, just want to let you know, Kat Kay Hanley was not mentioned. No, we didn't really dive into the music all that much specifically, unfortunately. But, it is a really dope fucking soundtrack, not going to lie. Yeah, I believe she was a guitarist or one of the lead singers. They had the music behind it was actually done by a handful of really pretty established people. One of the lead songwriters behind Counting Crows was involved, and a bunch of people. Awesome. But on that note, Drew, I'm ready to be taken off camera whenever.